And welcome to Believe in Chargers. He's back. Lorenzo Neal from his dalliance on Radio Row, a most wanted man, going from station to station. The Seahawks thumped the Patriots. The game was never really in question in the second half. Lo, you were up there for it all. Just kind of take us through your week, seeing some old friends and what it was like to kind of roll around San Francisco, Santa Clara, San Jose, wherever the hell everything was going on.
Exactly. Wherever the hell, all over. You're exactly right. A lot in Santa Clara, a lot in San Francisco. I tell you, the Patriots fans, a lot of them stayed in San Francisco, and they're texting, coming in, oh my God, I didn't know San Francisco had this many hills. They were not used to walking up so many steep hills in the streets of San Francisco. Great week. It's a great week just to see so many of the friends. I saw Brian Urlacher, of course, the great Jerry Rice, hanging out with Bo Jackson, had a great story. He was talking to me just about recovering from, colon cancer, and, had just so many things that you're not aware of, that so many people are dealing with, and just people that you think are your superheroes, people that you think that never can be injured or can live forever. And you find out how vulnerable we all are in this world. So it was a great event. It was very, very exciting leading up to the game. The game, like you said, was a dud. But I tell you, it was a lot of fun seeing all the guys you played with, the great Drew Brees, Hall of Fame, seeing a lot of these guys bumping around there was just an awesome event.
I know just in terms of my little orbit of Chargers players, I know I can list Nick Hardwick and Sean Merriman as guys that are as swole and as in shape as you. But as you're walking around, as you're walking around Radio Row, give me an idea who might be able to bow up on you and go toe to toe from the days when you were playing. Anybody impress you with how they've kept themselves together?
Yes, B. Urlacher, man. I don't know if you've seen the Instagram and saw the Twitter. Brian, he and I sized each other up. We went in with a bear hug, both of us. Just hugged one another, just embraced. He's like, Lo, you're looking pretty good. What are you doing? I said, you're looking pretty good too. So just going by memory lane, seeing the guys, it's interesting, man. I had a great conversation with Cal Turley and Gallery and Robert Gallery. He was there and talked about just the different things that he was dealing with, the demons and suicidal. Yeah. There's so many guys that you see that are linked, that took the other spectrum, like Robert Gallery. He's probably, 240 pounds, but he's 6'6". He just leaned out and just you talk to these guys and get inside their head and talk about what their career was like, and talk about off the field issues that so many guys still suffer from and dealing with. You're like, wow, you're not the only one. So I think that's great. But seeing some of the guys still in great shape, even seeing some of the young guys. I didn't know the quarterback from Carolina. I mean, Bryce Young. I mean, the dude's only
Bryce,
like
how small he is?
Yeah, how small he is. I was thinking, okay, maybe 6'1", 6'2". No, the dude is, maybe 6 foot. So just seeing a lot of these guys up close and personal, you're like, man, it just makes you appreciate some of the talent that they have and what they're able to do on this stage. But it really was money. The only thing that was missing is Believe didn't have you and I there. We should have been holding down the table, you and I, and had all of it, because you're the best.
That's not true. You're the attraction. I'll tell you, it's funny you mentioned that about the different size and shape of players. When I was, I went to probably, I don't know, like 12, maybe Super Bowls in a row, somewhere around there when I was working for NFL Network. And I'll never forget in Houston, we used to host a show, and it'd be like, I think we did a 2 or 3 hour show, which was just a parade of guests on NFL Network.
Right.
And I think it was probably inside of an hour or an hour and a half. We had Drew Brees, who, you played with Drew, so you know him, you know what he looks like, looks kind of like just a normal dude walking in and sitting down. Right after him, we had Cam Newton. And it's like, holy cow, these two guys play the same position. That's just stupid. And then right after Cam, J.J. Watt came by, who's, forearms are the size of coffee cans. And you're just like, geez, just the girth of JJ. Cam is tall and just a monster. But you know what I mean? He's more athletic. JJ is just this massive human being. And then freaking Yao Ming is walking around. And you're just like, okay, this is just stupid. It's just because not only is Yao, 7'4", but his legs are like tree trunks. He's got legs like JJ Watt, and he's this wide. And you're just like, oh my God, you would think a guy that tall would be like Manute Bol or this little, straight. No, just this massive billboard of a human being. And it is just wild how they come in all shapes and sizes. And there's no better way to figure that out than on Radio Row.
You're absolutely right. You're definitely right. The shapes and sizes. And we did see Big Cam. And you're right. He's just a big, athletic, 6'3", 6'4", but just 240, 50. He's just big and athletic. Kind of, if you think about it, he's got like that basketball, maybe a forward, that body, because he's but
power
bigger,
forward, yeah.
Shoot, back in Larry Johnson, but a little bit more taller, but big boy. He's a big man.
Yeah, let's go to the game, Lo, and just kind of get into it. And I'll just kind of throw this out there. You give me your observations. First thing that just stands out to me is there's one thing that trumps all others, and that's if you can't hold up in pass pro, you've got no chance. And I think for all the incoming that Drake May took, you didn't have a chance. Will Campbell they found it, they went after it, and that was it. Game over. And I think we saw it for the Chargers in the wild card game. We saw it with the Texans. We saw it with the Broncos, with this Patriots team, and then the Seahawks were able to protect. Sam Darnold was able to extend or get rid of the ball, and Drake May was not.
Yeah, it was very one-sided. But what it tells you, and what football always tells you, no matter who you have at quarterback, no matter who you have, if you don't build in the trenches, you're not winning. Yeah. You saw Seattle, the trenches on both sides of the ball. You look at the third, look, it was the running back who got MVP. Look how he was able to hide behind the line and then break out. He's on the secondary. He's on a linebacker. They wasn't touching him. The guys in the trenches were not touching him. You saw Seattle. Seattle was getting home with 4, so they got ready to play zone coverage. Drake May had so tight of windows to throw in because the windows were so tight because they dropped back and playing zone, and the pressure would get home. This Seattle team, I tell you what, and here's the thing. They're built to win for some years. Their window is open because you don't have to. You've seen the quarterback. Just don't turn the ball over. Complete the little in and out to short passes, control the clock, and run the ball. Yeah. They're good enough. What they have in Seattle with that defense and the offense and where they're trenches, they're young. And they're going to be a problem.
Yeah, and I think just selfishly for us, for Charger fans, it was great to see Chenna, just one of our favorite guys, just a great high character dude, local guy, Narbonne High School here in LA, USC, of course, to get that interception, pick six, big man pick six was fun to see. Happy for him, happy for Sam Darnold, San Clemente, Triton, an all-state basketball player, all-state football player, and then of course won that incredible Rose Bowl at USC, all the stuff he had to go through. So
first quarterback from USC to ever win a Super Bowl.
How about to ever make the Super Bowl? Yeah, to ever win. And when you think about all of them, I mean, just think about the first rounders and Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart and Mark Sanchez, and like the list goes on. And obviously there's the ones that got drafted in the later rounds, Matt Barkley and, that whole list, Matt Castle, of course. Yeah. Crazy. So congratulations to him. The one thing that you mentioned, Kenneth Walker, the MVP, first time that we had a running back MVP since Terrell Davis back in 98. So 27 years, I think it'd been, or 90, was it? I think it was 98, right? Is what Terrell Davis was. So almost 30 years. Not a lot of running backs have won the MVP. Larry Zonka, John Riggins, Emmitt Smith, Otis Anderson. Remember the Giants won a running back MVP. So that's also, not getting outside of your comfort zone. Have an identity. Make sure you play to your identity, and that's certainly something Mike McDonald was able to do. My defense is good enough. I don't think they can score on us. I'm going to punt the heck out of the ball. I'm going to kick field goals, and I'm going to run it, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's the formula. When you see Sam Darnold, I mean, the best game that he played of the year, and here's the deal. Is he capable? Absolutely. Yeah. Sam Darnold's erased a lot of criticism. He earned that. When they played against the Rams, Sam Darnold outplayed possibly the MVP. He had to throw the ball. He threw the ball down the field. He drove the ball, did a great job. And this game was like, here, Sam Darnold, you know what? You got us. You did what you needed to do. Now, let us show you what kind of team that you're around. Let us show you why we're going to pay you $20 million a year. You're not. And the thing about it is they have money because Sam Darnold not the guy that got 50, 40, 45, 50. He's getting played like a pass rusher. He's getting paid like an interior line. You have a quarterback under control for the next several years that is a game manager that can throw it if he has to, but it's going to be more and more common because you've got running back, you've got a great offensive line, and you got a defense. He just plays within himself. You have a good team, and now you have some money to still spend to continue to grow this team, this Seattle. And hopefully this Chargers can learn from this and say, okay, where are we going? It's got to be in the trenches, offensive and defensive, because look, if you can play great up front, you can play zone and play a zone on. If someone can get home, that is the best DB in the country, in the world, is your pass rush. If you got guys 1,000, 1,002, and the quarterback's got to get rid of the ball, the secondary's job become so much more easier. And offensively, if you can maul the offensive line and you have to play with 6 and 7 and 8, well, 8 guys and 9 guys in the box, now you got one-on-one coverage. You can dink, you can dunk, you can motion guys. It opens up your offense when you're playing against 8, 9 guys in the box, and they still can't stop you.
Yeah, and Lo, you mentioned it, and as you did, I immediately went over to FanDuel.com, our friends over there, to look at the Super Bowl odds and just kind of what these teams look like. And yeah, look, they've got the Seahawks. They're the favorite to repeat at plus 750. Rams are right behind them at plus 800. Then the Ravens, our friend Jesse Minter, taking over the Ravens. And, with that defense and with Jesse Minter calling, don't forget, Jesse Minter, Mike McDonald, they're attached. Those two guys swapped spots from Baltimore to Michigan. Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator at Michigan and Baltimore. Jesse Minter, coaching DBs in Baltimore, going to Michigan to be their defensive coordinator, then coming here, leading one of the best defenses in the league for 2 straight years. Now he's going to be the head coach in Baltimore. Behind the Ravens, the Bills saw they probably should have, knocked off the Broncos, and
Yep.
I think they would have probably beat the Patriots had they faced each other in the AFC Championship game. Just my personal opinion. And then you got the Packers, and then you have the Chargers. They are listed on that. There's only 2, 4, 6 teams listed on FanDuel, and the Chargers are right behind the Packers plus 1,500, and that I think is in great part due to the hiring of Mike McDaniel and the idea that you can overcome offensive line issues. By no means, I think the Dolphins were somewhere in the high 20s, if not in the 30s, for offensive line spending, and they're still able to put up points and to have an offense that was one of the toughest to defend. So I think they look at that combination, and that's how the Chargers end up there. Not to mention $100 million in cap space to go out and fill the needs like the Patriots did. So if you want to get in on it early, Chargers are there at plus 1,500 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Not a bad idea. And Lo, as you were talking about it,
3, right? 3 in the AFC. They're the third. They're the third.
Yeah.
In the AFC. So that's a great pick. People want to go to the field. I'm telling you, and I think you and I, same church, same pew. If this Chargers team stay healthy offensively with your 2 all-pro tackles, this is a team that is poised to make it right. It's the only thing that's holding this team up right now is health.
Yeah.
Health has to be the number one concern for Coach Harbaugh, the organization, because you're good enough to make a deep run and not have to depend just on Herbert if you have your offense, because with the running back that you went out and got in the draft, and what Demarion can do, you don't have to sit back and say Herbert's got to throw the ball 40, 50 times. You have 2 capable running backs when you have 2 capable all-pro tackles that can create a new line of scrimmage, that can man block, that can double team block, and they dismiss people. You're talking about a totally different offense for Herbert, because the pressure won't be on him, because he will have a comparable running game to go with it. And that's what you saw in Seattle.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the running game in Seattle, or the running game in the Super Bowl, was, I thought, pretty disheartening. Just because it's what we thought it was going to look like in the wild card game. It's like we all went into that game thinking you can get this team on the edges. And if you watch Kenneth Walker, those are not between the tackle runs. It is attack the edges. That's where you can get them. And that's where you got your 2 explosives. And we assumed we were going to see that in the wild card game. And I just pulled up 11 carries, 31 yards, 2.8 per, almost everything was between the tackles. It made absolutely no sense. Justin Herbert had 10 rushing attempts because he was scrambling, for his life out there because of the pass rush. And it was just such a curious, and I'm using curious as a euphemism, game plan because you saw it in the Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, just attack the edges. That is where they are most vulnerable. Take Barmore, take Milton Williams out of the equation and attack the edges. And for whatever reason, Chargers didn't. Texans kept letting C.J. Stroud drop back and throw interceptions. And it's like, man, it's just sitting right there in front of you. If you stay committed to it, you're going to pop a couple of them. And that's going to be the difference in the game. I mean, so many, the broadcast made such a big deal about that Patriots defense, and they should have going into the game through the playoffs, allowing, I think, 8.5 points per game to their opponents. But what they didn't point out was they averaged less than 16 points per game in the playoffs on offense. And what did we see? Seattle's like, yeah, if we score 17, we're good, man. And that's how they played that game.
They really did, Money. That's a great point that you made. Seattle went down and they said, okay, kick a field goal. And I was like, oh, they're going to let the Patriots stay in it. Nope, kick another field goal. 9-0, 12-0. And they were content with, and you saw no life from the Patriots offense. Well, you saw them trying, but like you said, Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts. And not Sam Darnold, but you saw May, he just pressuring space. He's scrambling. He's getting back to his, once he hits 7 steps, the guys are already in his lap. You see him trying to run out of the pocket. It was just, and they were dropping in zones and making him throw through tight windows, making him hold onto the ball. They knew what they could do to this Patriot offense. They stifled them. So when you're talking about, like you said, this offense only averaged 16 points a game, Seattle knew. Seattle said, this thing is over. Seattle said, we're going to play conservative. We're not going to go for nothing on 4th down. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. They didn't blink. They took what the Patriots gave them, and you saw the Patriots just nothing they could do. They played field position. They said, let's dare this offense to drive 80, 90 yards. They knew they weren't capable because their defense was too good. That's the sign of a coach that knows his personnel, but knows what his team can do. So he played the hand that was given to him, and he played it to the T.
Yeah. No doubt. They punted 6 times, I think, or 7 times. Maybe they punted 8 times. I think there were 15 combined punts in that game, and they kicked 5 field goals. So, yeah, it worked.
In Super Bowl history, I think.
Exactly.
Most field goals. And isn't it interesting, Money, when they're up 12-0, you're like, you see the Patriots playing the same game they're playing. Both of them are saying, let's play field position. Let's punt it. Let's not go for it on 4th. Yeah. Both teams said, let's do the same thing. And right when you do that, guess who blinked? Guess who made a mistake? Was it an interception? Patriots stole the interception. Boom. Blows the door opens. They now turns into 7. And now the game is completely over.
Yeah. 7 punts for Dixon, 5 for 5, Jason Myers. And 2 of those were inside the Patriots 15, which is not very popular these days. When you've got a 4th and short, they want you to go for it on 4th and 4, 4th and 3, and Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak were like, take the points. And they punted a couple times on the New England side of the field. Don't care. We got the best punter in the NFL. Pin you deep inside the 5. There's no chance you're getting out of here. You're not crossing the 50. And it was field position. It was field goals. It was a great strategy. And I think it's a strategy that, for the most part, Coach Harbaugh had followed, all season long. He is a guy that will take the field goals. He is a guy that will punt on the opposite side of the field and lean on that Jesse Minter defense. The turnover early in the wild card game kind of was a little bit out of character, going for it on 4th down instead of taking the 3 points. And just – I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of the Super Bowl. It's Believe in Chargers, just to kind of spin this thing back to the bold slope. The one thing that I think I take out of it that I see, and it almost runs a little bit contrary to kind of what you were saying about, Sam Darnold and how the Seahawks are set up. But for me, I think about the pounding that Justin Herbert took this season. And I went back and watched that wild card, and I went back and watched the press. So I just kind of put all this together for today's pod, right? This season, Herbert was sacked 54 times. He was pressured 268 times. That is the most in the league. He was hit 74 times. Last year, he was hit 62 times, 4th most in the NFL. He was sacked 41 times, 7th most in the NFL. He was pressured 193 times. And here's a list of Herbert's injuries. This season, broke his hand. November 30th, comes back in the game with a makeshift splint on it, plays with that glove the entire season. In July of last year, tore his plantar, had no training camp. Week 2 has that high ankle sprain. We were in Carolina with him, was in a boot all week, goes out, plays against Pittsburgh, was never right the entire season, had another high ankle sprain at the end of the year. Year before that, October 23, wrecked his middle finger. Remember that? He's been playing in a splint ever since. December, wrecked that index finger of his throwing hand. Middle finger was on his non-throwing hand, and he still wears a splint on that one. And then the December, he needed surgery after the season. And then, just go back. Chest shot versus the Chiefs in September of 22. Remember that one? Fractured rib cartilage, missed a single play, played all season long with broken ribs. And then we found out after the wild card game, he needed labrum surgery. Dude's been beat to hell. I mean, absolutely beat to hell. He's one of the best players in the league. Their offense was dependent upon him doing things out of structure and making things happen while getting his head caved in. I'm going to give you a chance to weigh in here because I don't want to keep going. I've got all of his sacks that I went through and watched what kind of hits those were. But to me, you've got to do something with Herbert. You've got to say, hey, man, we know what you've been going through. I know you're making $52.5 million this year, but right now, I mean, I got it pulled up here low. That is, he is. I would just push him. I'd give him the extra $5 million. Let's push you over Dak. Let's make you the highest paid quarterback in the league. It's not what anyone's talking about, but to me, it's what I would do. I would just be like, hey, man, we know what you've gone through. We know this cannot be fun for you. Here's 60.25 instead of 55, making you behind Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy and these dudes. No, we're going to make you the highest paid player in the league, and we're going to say thank you, and now we're going to go out and sign a bunch of offensive linemen.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. You need to get Harbaugh. You got a great relationship. Let's call him. Let's put a group text together and say, just pay him, get it done, push him over the top. Because if you don't, and if Herbert's not a greedy kid, he's a great young man. You better get some help, or you're going to be hurting. You better. Yeah. You saw Seattle. You're seeing what teams are doing. You got to build in the trenches. Give him his money. Just give and say, okay, look, let's just make you the highest paid guy. Let's keep the rest of this money. Let's not think about restructuring. Let's just give you your money. Let's go get some help. Let's go sign a couple guards. Let's go make sure we get a capable backup tackle. You have to compete offensively, and it's going to start in the trenches. You know what you have in the tackles. You can upgrade at the guard position. You can upgrade at the center position, and you need to get a capable backup tackle, swing tackle, and you got to continue to grow on defense. The trenches is imperative. We saw in the Super Bowl. We saw it up close and personal. You have a great offensive line. You can run the ball. Think of you put Herbert in a situation that you saw the quarterback from Seattle in. He's faster. Herbert's faster. He's more athletic. He can throw the ball better. So, and Darnold did a great job, but Herbert is a different quarterback. But look at Darnold, how easy and how poised, how he scrambles now, because he's not running for his life. It's easy just to improvise or make something happen because you got the defense, you got the offensive line, you got the running game. Herbert's back there saying, I gotta make this play. If I don't do this, it's on me. Herbert has way too much on his plate because he has to be excellent because he knows he doesn't have the pieces that he needs up front. So he pushes it. He holds onto the ball a little longer. He takes too many hits. He does too much because he understands the importance of his play. So absolutely give him his money for you can go out and make this team better in the trenches.
Yeah, that to me is, I know everyone's talking about how deep of a defensive line class it is, and I get it. Chris O'Leary's 33. It's his first time coordinating a defense. You might want to load up on that side, give him a little bit more talent. Mike McDaniel can do things with less. You've got Justin Herbert at quarterback, but to me, I just think the most important thing to do is, I mentioned I went through the sacks last year. week 1 in Brazil, he gets absolutely lit up by McDuffie, who comes unblocked on a slot corner blitz. Week 3, Nick Benito unblocked on the blind side twice, helmet in the middle of his freaking back. Sawyer got thrown into his ankle. He starfished by Jonathan Franklin Myers right into his knee and his ankle. Week 5, he got sandwiched, got a hip drop tackle where his ankle got rolled up. It should have been flagged against Washington. It wasn't. Week 7, he got sandwiched, just bang, right at the same time. 2 defensive tackles, had a helmet-to-helmet in Tennessee. I think it was Sebastian Joseph Day, got his head down. It might have been, I don't know, maybe it wasn't Seabass, but it was somebody that freaking lit him up under his chin. That should have been flagged. It wasn't. Trayvon Walker freaking just blew right around Trey Pipkins, and I mean, that was a gnarly hit. You remember that one in Jacksonville, slammed to the ground, full body weight, helmet under his chin. Max rolled up on his ankle in week 13, landed on him full body weight. Week 14, Philadelphia high-lowed him, had his ankles wrapped, and then he got highed and twisted his body. Pretty gnarly. Week 17, Barnett wrapped him up, slammed him down full body weight. And, of course, we remember, I can't get out of my head, the image in the wild card when Ponder freaking got him right in the chest when he got twisted and he bent backwards and was laying on the ground. Almost looked like he was prone for a second. And then that one that finished the game off, the free rush up the middle that Bozeman, he was a disaster in that game that Milton Williams came unblocked. Like, Stu didn't just take those 54 sacks. He got freaking wrecked. I mean, he got absolutely wrecked out there. And it affected the way he played in the wild card game. And I think that upset him quite a bit. I would imagine.
Money, I'm telling you, you watch enough Charger ball, you know exactly what you're talking about. It did affect him. Yeah. You saw Herbert holding onto the ball. You saw Herbert miss throws. You saw it in the wild card game. That wasn't Herbert. That wasn't Herbert's best. Even though they lost that game, Herbert didn't give them the chance and the opportunities that he usually does. He plays a lot better. You saw missed throws. You saw guys just him holding the ball. You saw different things because of the fact when you are asked to do this much all the time, it's hard. It's hard mentally. It's hard physically. The consistency that you're asking this guy to go out and do it every week is unfair. Even though you have a quarterback and you get paid, and I get that, and you're the highest paid, that's fine. But if you don't give this guy an opportunity, ask Josh Allen how's that feel when he goes up to, like you said, a team they should have beaten in Denver, and he pitches the ball backwards, trying to make a play because he doesn't necessarily trust his defense, trying to make a play right before halftime, gives Denver the ball back. Ask, Lamar Jackson at times, you see it. Ask Mahomes this year when he didn't have receivers and all those things. And look, so when you put these guys, even though they're elite quarterbacks, and you put too much on their plate and you ask these guys to just go and go improvise, and you saw Purdy when he went to Seattle, all the things he can do, other teams throwing the ball. But when you went to Seattle and you had no offensive line, had that work out for Purdy. That work out for Purdy when Seattle came to San Francisco and all the no points, 0 points, both times because they got done. If you don't protect and you don't give these guys, I don't care how elite they are, they're not going to have success.
Yeah, I know it's probably not the most popular position to take. Give him more money, but it's the most important thing on this team. It's like if you don't have him with confidence, and to me, I just think back to how it looked with Corey Linsley and the relationship they had when Linsley was the best center in the league, and he's the one calling out protections, and they're all right. And he knows when he takes that snap, he knows he's good. I know what the play call is. I know my center's got it. I know it's going to get blocked up right. The line's adjusting where they need to adjust, and I'm good. And I don't have to think about that. Like, that's why I look and I see Tyler Linderbaum there, and I just write the check. I know it's going to be expensive. He's going to be the highest paid center in the league, but I just write it because if I have Alton Slater and now I've got Linderbaum, I can then fill in those guard positions. I'm good. And, maybe it's Connor McGovern. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. If he's, if for whatever reason, Linderbaum doesn't want to leave Baltimore, he wants to stay. Sometimes guys don't want to be here. Think about Kevin Zeitler. They tried to sign him. He said, I don't want to live on the West Coast. They tried to trade for him. He said, I still don't want to live on the West Coast. And, that's just reality sometimes. But if they can go out and get him, I'd go get him. Go get Isaac Seumalo of Pittsburgh. Go out and see if you can convince Zeitler for a year. Wyatt Teller, from Cleveland. Take a shot on Elijah Vera Tucker. That's who they were going to take in the draft. They didn't think Slater was going to be there. He was going to be their draft pick. Instead, he's dealt with some serious injury problems. But if you can maybe get him to take a hometown discount, the USC kid, and see if you can make that work, like that to me is just priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then figure out everything else after. Because if you can get him right, we saw what you were able to do with him not right. 11 wins and a trip to the wild card round, and I get it. There's 3 phases of football. We saw that in the Super Bowl with the kicking and the punting game. But, to me, that's where I would start. I look at this list of guards that are available. I mentioned Bitonio, Teller, Zeitler, Ciamalo. You got John Simpson, Elijah Vera Tucker. I mean, David Edwards, is in there. I think he's going to make a fortune. So, that's just where I would be looking. After watching that Super Bowl, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, me too. And I'm gonna tell you, money right now. They're like, oh, in the draft, I'm not getting a receiver. I think that you got those young guys, the ones you drafted last year. They're gonna step up. They're gonna make. You saw the way they played. You got a tight end in Gaston. You got the running backs. You can say, okay, I'll bring some guys in maybe in free agency, but I'm building in the trenches. You saw with the Rams how they've been building in the trenches. You saw with them in Seattle. They were able to hold up and give Stafford some time. That was a gunslinging game. You saw it. They were able to beat the zone. Seattle had to come out of that zone, had to come pressure, do different things. If you got good trench players, you can compete in this league. This Charger team to compete, because it's not Denver's. Denver's okay, but they're all not the best. You just got to make sure that you can get after people, and I think the trenches is the place to be.
Yeah. I mean, we'll dig deeper into the draft. I'll be out at the Combine in 2 weeks, so we'll get through what that looks like. But, with only 5 picks, I'd be floored if they use pick 22. I think they'll trade back. You've got a good group of centers, of guards that you can lean into in the second round, on those day 2 picks. If you get out of 1 and you pick up an extra 2, and then maybe you get out of one of your 2s and you pick up an extra 3, that's a way to build depth. So you're not in a situation where you're starting Bobby Hart, at tackle, and he's getting destroyed by the Texans in the first half. And again, Herbert's getting his head caved in. Like, to me, and look, I operate under the idea that you can make contracts work. There are ways to pay players where you can keep it under the cap, and you can bring back Odafe Oweh, and you can bring back Khalil Mack, and you can pay Thule, and you can extend. All that stuff is doable. The Saints have been doing it forever. This is their Super Bowl window. They have got to chase a Super Bowl this year with Mike McDaniel. If it works the way we think it's going to, he's going to probably have a head coaching gig the following season. Just make sure Herbert's right, man. Get it all set up where he is comfortable and he can operate like an MVP. And the defense can, you've got plenty on that side of the ball. You got Tier Tart and Jamari Caldwell and Derwin and Dayon, and the corners, Dante Jackson is back, and your safeties with Elijah Moult. Like, you can make that work. And so, kind of as we wrap, that's just watching Drake May get destroyed in that Super Bowl and thinking what happened to Herbert in the wild card. I was like, man, you know what? I've kind of shifted my idea of you got to make sure you take care of the defensive side and pay them all this money. Let's just take care of Herbert, man. Let's get that guy right. Make sure his head's in the right place going into the season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think they will. I think Harbaugh, maybe those two should go on a retreat together and just talk. Because and Justin, you saw it once they hired Mike McDaniels. He was fired up. He said he had a bitter taste in his mouth about the playoffs. He saw that tape. He saw it. Herbert is a smart guy. He's a smart kid. He's a great quarterback. He knows that wasn't his best, but he understands, hey, look, there's some other things that there's a cause and effect. So, and like you said, give him his money. Go build in the trenches. Let's protect this guy so he'll have some time to be great. Let him in the pocket where he knows he can drop back and he doesn't have to 1,002. And then he's not focusing on looking at the receivers downfield. He's focused on who's got his blind side, who's coming free, who do I got to avoid. So Herbert can't effectively play at the level that we know he's capable of because he's got other things around him that's affecting his ability to read, see the coverages, see his men getting open, because once you're there and all of a sudden the defender flashes, I take my eyes off my receiver to try to avoid someone, and that window was gone. So he has not played his potential because of the fact he has not had the protection that he needs.
All right, Lo, you got your Pac-12 Fresno State Bulldogs cap on. Go out there and get recruiting or
Let's
whatever you're
go.
doing today. Stroke a check
Let's
for some
go.
NIL players, and let's win the inaugural new Pac-12 title this season. Great to see you again. Glad you had a great time out there at the Super Bowl. Certainly deserved all the attention that you were given and the celebration that you were given.
Thank you.
We'll be back again next week and figure out what else we're going to dig into. But obviously, it's going to be how you build this thing to do what Seattle was doing just a couple days ago, and that's lifting that Lombardi.
Absolutely. Bolt up.
Bolt up.